Welcome, Justine Siegal, to ESPN and to talk about the Women's Pro Baseball League with us. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
So tell us how the idea of the Women's Pro Baseball League came up.
Well, it's super exciting. I mean, we are going to launch in 2026 with 6 teams. And I was fortunate. Keith Stein, my co-owner, was the one who reached out to me looking for a baseball counterpart to his partnership and said, "Well, you launch Women's Professional Baseball League with me?" And it didn't take too long for me to say yes. You know, I'm super excited, and Keith Stein's a great partner to have.
You have been involved in baseball since when in your life?
Well, I started playing t-ball, and then my daughter was born when I was 23, and that was the light bulb that said, "Hey, I can build for others." And so I started building my first team, at 23, 24 years old.
Wow. But you've also been a pioneer, the first woman to coach for a professional baseball team back in 2009. Did you feel that you made history at that point?
I mean, I definitely felt like I made history, because I worked so hard just to get to the point. And that was with the Brockton Rocks, the Can-Am League. And then later it was with the Oakland A's for Instructional League. And then that was when I became the first woman to coach for a Major League Baseball organization. So it definitely felt historical, but it also just felt gratifying because I decided I wanted to be a baseball coach when I was about 16. And I told my coach I wanted to coach, and he just laughed at me and said, "No man will ever listen to a woman on a baseball field." And I was a really shy kid, so I was pretty embarrassed by that response. But then I started thinking, like, who's he? Who's he to decide what I'm going to do? And so I went on this big pursuit. And so, I coached as an assistant coach at Springfield College, and then went from there and coached with the Brockton Rocks. So I felt like I'd earned my spot, but I also knew that it was kind of like amazing to be there at the same time.
And you've also coached in Mexico. How was that experience?
Yes, so I was honored to get invited to be a part of the Carla Bustamante's Mujeres en el Diamante. And so we went to different cities throughout Mexico, sponsored by the U.S. Embassy, and we did clinics for girls, and there were some women in different clinics. And then I would guest coach with the local team. So I started off with Naranjeros. That's where broke the barrier, and I was the first woman to coach in Mexico. And so then, like 4 or 5 years of coaching. I've been all around northern Mexico. Obviously, always fun. Love it. Love those kids, and just a really great opportunity.
And you hear a lot about softball, for example, in Mexico. But how big is women's baseball in Mexico and in Latin America?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. So softball is a bigger sport. In Mexico and Latin America, there's still an idea that boys play baseball and girls play softball. And while softball's a difficult sport, challenging, it's just not baseball, right? So it's 2 different sports. And in Mexico, there's a national team. They just competed in the World Cup qualifiers. And so they're moving along, right? And they want more baseball. Just like I want more baseball, and the women here in the U.S. want more baseball. So Mexico, Dominican, it's growing. Cuba's got great talent as well. There's so much out there.
And there are some big stars. For example, Livia Duarte from Cuba, Gabby Velez from Puerto Rico. What can you tell us about them?
Well, it's a big thing to lead your team and to really be the face, but also just to show what's possible. And I think both of them have done that. Gabby, I've actually known since she was 15 years old. So we go back for a while. I think it's so beautiful to go and develop something for your people, your community, to come back to stay there, to just build for others, I think is a really act of service.
Which of the countries or national teams do you think is the strongest in terms of women's baseball right now?
Well, around the world, I mean, I would say it's Japan.
Japan, yeah.
Japan, we have the U.S. as a national team. Japan beat U.S. in this World Cup. Canada came in third. Venezuela's coming on strong. Mexico, the talent, I mean, we have Chinese Taipei, we have France, we have all of these countries. But what I can say is, having watched this from the very beginning, the first World Cup, the talent level is just increasing. And it's so fun to watch. And I think one part that really excites me about the Women's Professional Baseball League is that we will be having players from around the world come here. So you're really going to get to see the best. And you're going to see that excitement that is played with just pure joy and grit. This sometimes gets lost in other games. But women, they love it. They have to love it because they kind of have to grab at it to get the chance to keep playing.
And one of the special advisors for the Women's Professional Baseball League is pitching legend from Japan, Ayami Sato. What has she done for women's baseball?
Well, she's one of those people that has made the game grow bigger in her country. She's a face. She's done everything she can. I remember when she first started, and now she's in her 30s. She has teammates who watched her when she was young, when they were young, and now they're on the same team as her. So I think it's really awesome. I think we need those faces. We need those faces to know that can be us. So many times women and girls have to look at men and say, hey, that could be us, but we don't look alike. But, that could be me. I dreamt of being Oral Hershiser, or, Nolan Ryan. But now you can dream of being Sato, or Gabby Velez, and or Kelsey Whitmore. There's now role models to look up to, and that's so important.
And 6 teams, as you mentioned, mostly in the Northeast. Do you have any players signed, or there's some time yet?
We would love to do it all and sign right now because we're so excited. But there is a process that we have to do and go through it. But that doesn't mean that we won't be signing, before the event, for sure. I can see us signing players. But we are going to have a scout camp and have a few in different locations to give women a chance to be seen as well. I think there's an element of knowing who are the best players, and there's also that excitement, and that you want to find that diamond in the rough that you didn't know about. And so you host those open tryouts, and that's what happens.
Okay. And tell us about the distribution, where you will be showing, streaming the games.
So we are currently talking to broadcasters and haven't signed our contract, as we want to make sure we get the right partners. But we are definitely oriented towards getting as much media out there, right? So digital media, the ability to reach different audiences. That's why your program is so important. We know many of the best baseball fans are in Mexico, and in Latin America, not just the best players, but also the best fans. So we want to make that reach. And so, we're going to be using digital media, traditional media, all the ways that we can get the word out and show that women play baseball, and they play it really well.
So women's sports in general have had a boost lately. Has that been one of the keys to this moment, for choosing this moment, I guess, is the question?
Yeah, that's a good question. And for sure, we are building off the momentum of the women's pro leagues that are before us. This is a well-deserved moment, a little late in coming, but well-deserved. Women have been playing sports well for a long time. But now people have caught on. My father knows who Caitlin Clark is. And we're going to build off that momentum. And we thank the other leagues. And frankly, we're learning from what the other leagues have done, so that we can take the best and take the lessons learned and make sure that our league is as strong as possible. And
also at the same time, you could say in softball. So former Marlins general manager Kim Eng is now a senior advisor for Athletes Unlimited Softball League that's going to launch. It's sort of parallel to your league, the WPBL. Is there anything that you're doing hand in hand at all with them?
Yeah, Kim Eng is, first of all, is a superstar, and I'm sure is going to lead the league very well. Right now, we're not doing anything hand in hand. I think there's place and room for both of us. There's a lot of softball fans, and there's a lot of baseball fans. Over 40% of women in Major League Baseball, those fans, 40% of those fans are women. So we want to make sure we tap into that base, and I'm sure there's crossover as well. And so I'm not sure if there's going to be overlap if we work together in different parts, but we're definitely open to working with all the sports. Anyone who supports women, but just supports good competition. It's not just because women are playing. It's good competition. It's fun. It's eating hot dogs. We want them to come out to our games.
And from you having such a long road, you could say, in different leagues, Major League Baseball as well, what have you learned that you're going to be able to apply now? What are going to be things that will be keys to success for the Women's Pro Baseball League?
I think, and that's a really big question, but I think just to summarize it, we want to make sure we have the right owners. We need owners who are in, and they realize it'll take a few years to build up. We want to make sure that the folks that we have in our front office are people who have worked in women's professional sports so that they understand what it was like for Angel City, who just sold their team for a record amount. What that was like to start. How did they get fan engagement? How did they bring their sport to the community? And baseball is a little bit more difficult than soccer just because there's a whole lot of kids who play soccer and there's less kids who play baseball, particularly girls. But I think that for our success, it's about working as a team. It's not my idea, it's our idea, and it's getting dialogue of what we're going to do, how we move forward, and just putting out the best product. People will come if it's good, and I know it will be.
We were talking about Kim Eng, but in soccer, an investor and leader is Michelle Kang. And she just invested at the grassroots level $30 million for coaching, for training, and for girls to start getting involved in soccer. What do you think that example sets in terms of women's sports?
I think that Kang has become an immediate legend, an immediate game changer that we will, it's almost like there's Title IX, then there was women's pro sport, and then there's Kang, right? The next step of really understanding that resources is such a key part of not just developing pro sports, but getting girls playing, getting girls leading, getting them coaching, and how important that is, not just because of sports, but because it builds better people, right? I like to think that sports builds better people. And her contributions are just making all the difference. I know she also contributed to rugby as well. I love it. So definitely a hero in this world. Yeah, for sure.
And one of the questions for the league is experience, meaning, and speaking of grassroots level, how common is girls baseball in schools right now?
It's not very common at all. So I founded a nonprofit called Baseball for All. And we are a national organization helping communities start girls' baseball programs. And all of our girls really play with the boys, which is fine. It's fine. But there is something special about girls playing with other girls. One, they're no longer the girl. They're just ball players. Two, there's a lot of camaraderie. And three, there's a pipeline that can be created. And that's one thing that the WPBL provides an end to that pipeline. Right now, 7-year-olds can dream of playing professional baseball. And so baseball for girls particularly is not very popular in schools, but girls are playing baseball around the country in all ages. They're just playing co-ed in the different leagues and, within their PE programs. Girls have loved this game for so long, and it's time to really get them in the spotlight.
Speaking of time, there's that league of their own, if you will, that was quite a while ago, but back in the 40s and 50s, that was the first women's professional baseball league. Was that at all an inspiration for the women's pro baseball league at this point for you?
Yeah, the movie's super popular and everyone loves it. And I know my kids at Baseball for All can all quote the movie and sing the song. I think most importantly, the real women from the movie A League of Their Own is the American Girls Professional Baseball League. And some of them are still around, and there's definitely a lot of respect. And also an obligation or desire to make them proud of this league. And to launch it before they all pass, and let them know that it's still going. We're going to keep it going.
And you are a member of the WBSC Diversity and Inclusivity Commission. What has that involved?
Well, I've run different roles with the World Baseball Softball Confederation. I used to run the women's baseball department when we were first getting our World Cups going. I represented baseball at an IOC event. So the diversity it's just a committee that's really focused on getting more and more people into baseball. And, we often think of, men and women, but there's a lot of people that don't have access to baseball, right? So are we providing fields that everyone can play on? Are we providing adaptations to the game that allow people with different abilities to play? If you're blind, are you still getting a chance to play? Is there wheelchair baseball? All these kinds of things that we can do, as well as making sure that we can grow the game internationally and people have access to it. So it's a great committee. The WBSC, is doing a good job of building baseball and softball all around the world.
Do you foresee that players will mostly be from the U.S. or international players?
I think for the Women's Professional Baseball League here in the U.S., it's going to be mostly U.S. players. I think that, because we're here, that makes a lot of sense. I don't think it means it's that because we have the best players, but I think we have a lot of amazing players. We have great players. There's so many good players in Japan. I could probably import the country and we'd get some really competitive. That's such a good rivalry between USA and Japan. But there'll be players from all over. Canada, of course, is simple. And we have those visas to give out. So if you have a dream and you have the ability, we want to make it happen.
Because Puerto Rico has a league, a women's baseball league.
Yes. And Australia has women baseball leagues. And Canada, there are women's baseball leagues around. Mexico has a version of their league. Resources are always the most difficult part. The Dominican, they have women playing, and they're good, but they don't have the same resources that we have here in the U.S. To get a chance to play.
Okay, and I know this has always been a point of contention or discussion of compensation. In terms of comparing, for example, the NBA and the WNBA, or in this case, it would be Major League Baseball and the Women's Pro Baseball League. Obviously, it's not going to be in the same range, but how do you think compensation will be once you have the numbers?
Yeah, we are still working on that, but it's a better. I would say a better idea would be minor league baseball because it's in our first year. I think salaries would be more comparable to minor league baseball. Definitely not Major League Baseball, unfortunately. So some players will make more and some players will make less based on their value to the team and their stardom. So we know that paying women is important, but we also have to be realistic with the business model and start. We have to get our first year in. So I just want to say that we want to treat women the best we can. We want to treat our players the best we can. They deserve it.
And how long will the season be?
It's going to go from late May to late August for our first year at 40 games. And then we plan to grow from there, but we feel that's a really good start.
Okay. And you say mostly the Northeast. Do you have locations picked out already at all?
We have ideas of where we'd like to be. We're still finalizing our ownership. And so we wanted to make sure, give the owners a chance to have their say before we sign our contracts and where we're going to go.
Okay. Cito Gaston is another of the special advisors to the league. So what does he bring to the league, do you think?
Well, Cito is obviously, just a phenomenal legend in baseball. So I think, one, it brings some recognition that, it's not just women supporting us, it's men supporting us as well. And also, there's times you just pick up the phone and just say, hey, Cito, what do you think? And just having that access to that, his brain and his experience is a treasure for us. I do want to mention one more thing. If women would like to get more information on tryouts, they should go to womensprobaseballleague.com and join our player portal. And that way they don't miss a tryout and they stay up to date on what's happening.
Perfect. And how will the winning team, the champion team, be decided?
Playoffs. We'll play playoffs.
There will be playoffs. Do you know the format of the playoffs?
Oh, we're still working through the playoffs.
Still working. Okay.
We still have time.
I want all the details. Come on, Justine.
I'll have to come back on board and give you more details as we continue to grow.
Okay. It's exciting. Very exciting.
It's very exciting, and it's just very important to us that we get it right. And so we don't want to rush decisions, that we can really take a moment and we can make sure we get it right.
I saw a video of you many years ago, or several years ago, saying my dream was to be a Cleveland Indian.
It's true. My dream was to play for the now Cleveland Guardians. I went to all the games. I slept with my baseball bat right next to me, and I would wake up and I would take swings in my bedroom and then go back to bed. And that was for sure my dream. And when I finally realized at 15 or 16, I was not going to make it, that's when I decided I wanted to coach. So I kept playing. I played in men's leagues in high school and so on. But I decided to go towards being a college baseball coach.
But I think now you're giving an opportunity to women to dream of being in the Women's Pro Baseball League.
Yeah, it's a humbling role to be able to give women of today something that I wasn't able to access, and to know that even like Gabby Velez, who I knew at 15, can now play professional baseball, when at 15 it felt like there was a dead end. And that's really it's very heartwarming to know that, to be in an opportunity to build a path for others.
Well, congratulations on the league and on everything you've done. Thank you, Justine Siegal.
Thank you.